If you spend any time driving on Arkansas highways, odds are you felt that frustration of trying to pass other cars with a big rig in your way. THV 11 viewer Sharon of Conway wants to know if trucks are allowed to hog the left lanes. All new this morning, let's verify. Even the most irritated driver would agree we need truck drivers regardless of how they choose to drive. In 1 year alone, the industry carried more than 11 billion tons of freight across the United States, providing jobs to more than 3.5 million professional truck drivers. Arkansas is just like all other states with so-called keep right laws, where slow-moving drivers must move to the furthest right lane. Hanging out in the left lane not only impedes the flow of traffic, you could be ticketed and face a fine up to $100. But does the law exclude big trucks? Our sources are the Arkansas Department of Public Safety, the Department of Finance and Administration, American Trucking Associations, and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. In 2021, Act 1090 became law in Arkansas, reinforcing the keep right rule while adding a few exceptions. They include cases like passing another vehicle traveling in the same direction. All other lanes are closed or in disrepair, or when a driver is preparing to exit the highway to the left. Exceptions aside, the Arkansas Department of Transportation can also designate sections of a multi-lane highway off limits to left-lane drivers who simply like it there. The department will place signs to indicate those sections. The same rules apply to trucks, defined as vehicles having more than 2 axles. Trucks have other potential violations, too. Drivers can lose their commercial licenses temporarily or permanently for committing a serious traffic offense. Such violations include excessive speeding, reckless driving, erratic lane changes, or causing accidents resulting in injuries or fatalities. So we can verify that no, there are no exceptions to Arkansas's left lane law, including big trucks. They must follow the same laws as non-commercial drivers. And one thought the next time you're in a hurry, semis generally need the length of up to 2 football fields to safely stop. So if you are one of those drivers who tailgates a truck, remember they need time and proper space to move out of your way. Maybe you are facing a long drive and planning to listen to some music or a podcast to help pass the time. Do keep in mind those statistics do show driving while distracted is among the top 10 causes of car crashes. With Arkansans joining the millions of Americans taking to the roadways this long holiday weekend, THV 11 viewer Adam wants to know if it's legal to drive in Arkansas while wearing earbuds or headphones. So let's verify. Our sources are the Arkansas Department of Transportation, Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration, Arkansas State Police, and the National Highway Transportation and Safety Administration. In recent years, Arkansas law has targeted distracted driving, focusing on the use of cell phones and texting while behind the wheel. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, any behavior that diverts a driver's attention from the road in front of them is risky. In 2021, the agency says more than 3,500 people were killed and an estimated 362,000 others hurt in motor vehicle traffic crashes involving distracted drivers. Arkansas State Police say while the law doesn't specify earbuds and headphones, using them is just one more distraction that could quickly turn tragic.
There's not a specific statute that says you cannot wear earbuds or headphones. However, we highly discourage it because most headphones and earbuds cut out all the ambient noise around you. And by having those on, you would not be able to hear somebody honking at you or an emergency vehicle coming up behind you with their siren on to warn you to move over.
So we can verify that, yes, you can wear earbuds and headphones while driving in Arkansas. But as technology continues evolving, safety agencies say the practice may eventually be addressed by the state legislature. More than 2.5 million drivers in Arkansas are properly registered to be on the roads. But THV 11 viewer Joyce tells us she sees expired tags a lot and even read on Facebook that it's cheaper to pay an expired tag ticket than it is to keep your car current. So she wonders if these drivers could be pulled over and face any penalties. Is it true that Arkansas drivers are saving money by not paying their yearly tag renewals or registrations? Let's verify. Our sources are the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration, the State of Arkansas House of Representatives, online legal site Justia, and RDOT. Driving is historically considered a privilege, and with it comes your responsibility to keep your car current on its registration. Proof that your property or sales taxes are paid for allows the state and law enforcement to rest assured you're complying with the rules of the road. A recently passed law even gives you 60 days to register or renew a vehicle, which is twice as long as it once was. The DFA says penalties for expired tags start at $3 for each 10-day period the car is unregistered, not to exceed the full year's registration fee. For those who don't pay the sales tax on a new registration, the penalty is much higher, at 10% of the sales tax due. That's the money side of it. Then there is law enforcement. State police say you can be pulled over and ticketed for expired tags, though it's not considered a moving offense and is a misdemeanor. The first time means a fine between $50 to $100. If you're convicted for a second time in that same year, your unregistered car can be impounded until you prove you've paid off your obligation. So we can verify that no, drivers with expired tags in Arkansas are not doing themselves any favors. They stand to lose their car and be out more cash than what they originally owed. A job paying minimum wage can mean a little over $7 an hour per federal law. So are there any exceptions to that standard? Let's verify. The question we're diving into is, can employers pay certain workers below the federal minimum wage? Our sources are the U.S. Department of Labor, the Fair Labor Standards Act, and a PARTO with NC Justice, and the Arkansas Department of Labor and Licensing. In 2009, Congress passed the Fair Standards Act, setting the minimum wage at $7.25 an hour for non-exempt employees. But there are exceptions. The Department of Labor says workers with disabilities, full-time students, student learners, and some people younger than 20 can be paid less than the federal minimum wage. The most common example of the minimum wage exception is tipped workers. In Arkansas, they must be paid at least $2.63 an hour.
The way that the tip minimum is supposed to work is you're still supposed to come out at least making the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Your employer is supposed to ensure that you at least make $7.25 an hour when you calculate in your tipped minimum.
However, the state minimum wage in Arkansas is currently $11 per hour after voters passed a minimum wage increase in 2018. And Arkansas Code says an employer must pay the highest minimum wage between the state and federal. So with the exception of tipped workers, you should be making at least $11 an hour working in Arkansas. So we can verify, yes, employers can pay certain workers below the federal minimum, but there are exceptions, and states can pass laws to change that. During your workday, there's nothing like a break for lunch or a cup of coffee to revive you. But are you supposed to be paid for that time? It depends. Let's break it down. Here's our question from Arkansas viewer Zachary. In Arkansas, are there any laws requiring employers to give their employees a meal or bathroom break? Let's verify. Our sources are the Arkansas Department of Labor and Licensing, the NOLO Network, a free library of consumer-friendly legal information, and the U.S. Department of Labor. Arkansas follows federal law, which doesn't require an employer to provide breaks, with one exception. In Arkansas, rest breaks are required for children under the age of 16 employed in the entertainment industry. If an Arkansas employer chooses to allow breaks, then the following laws apply. The employee must be paid for all breaks lasting 20 minutes or less. Breaks lasting longer than 20 minutes do not need to be paid as long as the employee isn't using the time for work. If work is necessary while eating, the employer must include that break time in the employee's hours. One notable consideration is for those returning to work after the birth of a child and who are nursing. That employee is to be given reasonable unpaid breaks in a private lactation space until the child reaches 1 year old. So no, there are no laws in Arkansas that require an employer to provide short breaks or meal times. Many still do to boost morale and improve productivity, but legally state and federal law do not make them mandatory. For Arkansans with pets, the animals are more than companions. In some cases, they're a lifeline. But there is a clear difference between a service animal and the recent surge in emotional support animals, at least where Arkansas law is concerned. A THV 11 viewer asked if that designation makes a difference on where pets are allowed to go. Here's the question. Does Arkansas law only allow service animals in grocery stores and restaurants? Let's verify. Our sources are the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, Disability Rights Arkansas, and the U.S. Service Animals website. Both the ADA and the state of Arkansas recognize service animals as specially trained to assist people with a variety of disabilities, ranging from those who need help walking, remembering to take their medications, to preventing a child who has autism from wandering away. But unlike the ADA, Arkansas limits service animals to only dogs. Another developing trend, most notably after the pandemic, is to lean on animals for emotional or psychological support. Companion animals are not considered by the state as trained to assist with a disability. Psychiatric support dogs are trained to calm owners who suffer from less visible disabilities such as PTSD, anxiety, or depression. Arkansas does recognize psychiatric dogs, but doesn't apply the same standard for public access afforded to service dogs, with one exception, when the owner suffers from a visual, hearing, or physical disability. So we can verify that, yes, only service animals in Arkansas are allowed to enter places like grocery stores and restaurants. The law also limits what managers or owners of such places can ask about a person's disability, including why they have a need for the dog. Missing from Arkansas law are provisions for emotional support animals, but Governor Sanders recently signed Act 268. It requires sellers of emotional support animals to give the buyer a written notice explaining the difference between emotional support animals and service dogs. The distinction is necessary because, as you now know, service animals are allowed to accompany their owners in public buildings, grocery stores included.